Good morning. I will wait for everyone to get in the Zoom.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Theodore.
I've been usually one of the first one in the last couple of days because I've had it open for like 20 minutes beforehand. And that's just across all classes.
What's he doing in physics right now? Is he doing Zoom meetings as well?
Well, let me check. Physics C is Monday, Wednesday, and I learned that April 1st, and I forgot about that epic. Okay, yeah, that would do it. They're 9 a.m. 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Okay. Well, I've been missing all of those because I haven't been getting up until 10.
Well, he should be recording them, so you should be able to find them somewhere.
Okay. Let's write that down on this calendar my mom has put on the desk. Yes, I'm the only one here.
Okay.
You,
You do have one at 11.
yes.
But you also have one at 9?
Yes.
Hi, Peyton.
I don't think I ever actually been to the 9 a.m. physics C ones because of how early that is. I haven't been up that early in like weeks. So.
We'll wait a little longer before we begin.
Mr. Hunter.
Is this lighting better for me? Because I can turn it off if it isn't.
Well, Theodore, I don't think it matters too much. People
Fair
are
enough.
seeing me in the video, not you.
Fair enough.
I'll wait 2 more minutes. Okay, well, it is 11:05. I can still admit people in as they try to get in on this. Okay. You should all be able to unmute yourself. I have it set up so that it mutes you when you enter the Zoom session, but you can unmute yourself. And That'll be helpful so you don't have to just write your questions in the chat bar. You can actually ask your questions.
I'm like the only
main
kid
purpose
unmuted.
of today's Zoom meeting is to tell you again what you should be doing this week and next week for class, where to go to find that information, answer any more questions you have about the AP exam or what you should be doing. Also, there are 2 assignments that were already posted, and part of today will be, there's a few things on the humongous review sheet, specific things I want to go ahead and go over, and then answer any questions you have on that or the limits review. Okay. A few more people coming in. Okay, so first off, any of you who still have not joined the Google Classroom need to do that. If you have still not joined the Google Classroom, you need to do that. The code is A06QSPJ. If you have not joined the Google Classroom, you need to do that. That's where you will find that any assignments that we will be doing over the next month. And the vast majority of you are taking the AP exam, and if you don't join the Google Classroom, you won't have the free response question practice that you need to be ready for the AP exam. To those of you not taking the AP exam, there's not that many, but enough that this statement needs to be said. I would highly encourage you, so that this year wasn't a waste, if you can still get into a summer school session of Calculus 1 at Lone Star, you should do that. That way you can go into Cal 2 next year like you, as if you did take and pass the AP exam. I mean, assuming you're going to a state school that would accept Lone Star's credit. I mean, and most schools would, especially almost any school in Texas would. Like, so that this year wasn't a waste. If you're not taking the AP exam, just take Cal 1 as one of the summer sessions at Lone Star. And if and when you do that, feel free to ask me any questions when you're doing that. And if you are going to do that, doing any practice I send out over the next few weeks would, of course, still be helpful for that. As well as you will be getting more information from district soon about what 3rd grading period will look like, 4th grading period will look like over the next few weeks. But one thing I can already tell you is starting next week of April 13th, we will start doing grades. Grades will start again next week, April 13th. So you should be doing stuff for all of your classes starting next week, because grades will start again next week. Different than normal, and you'll find out more about that first from district, and I'll give more specifics as well. Or your
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. On the class. Okay, sorry. So for the grades that are starting next week, does that include like the past 3 weeks of class? Like if there were assignments that we had, like are those taken for grades, or is it just new stuff?
If you're taking the AP exam, you still should have done anything that was requested over the past few weeks. But anything that was in Unit 8 for me, like, I mean, that's not going to be for a grade because that's not on the AP exam, and my goal is to prepare you for that, or at least it's not on this year's AP exam. But no, any grades over the next few weeks will be for those few weeks. I'm not going to retroactively grade you for something in the past.
Okay.
Okay. I want to go ahead. I want to show you something real quick because I still think most of you are not doing it. Let's go look at Google Classroom. So if you go to the Google Classroom page, well, there, right there, that's the link to the Zoom lesson we're doing right now.
That's how I got
On
here.
Monday this week, I sent this out. A plan for this week is that you should be going to this YouTube channel, same YouTube channel playlist I've posted before. Be working on the humongous review sheet and AP limits review. And we working on the Unit 1 limits free response questions. And I know some people have been doing that because I've gotten some that I've had to start scoring, which is awesome. And I'll get to scoring those as they come in. If we go to this YouTube playlist, this takes you to the live AP review sessions that are done live at 1 every weekday. And then the video stays there, obviously, because it's YouTube. The first 8 of them were all from Unit 7, differential equations. We already completely covered that unit, so don't feel like you have to go through and watch those ones unless you have forgotten something or didn't fully understand something from that unit. But I would highly suggest starting at episode 8, their Unit 7 wrap-up and free response questions, and then doing all of the lessons from then on. Because the next few lessons, yes, they're on some of them are going to be on Unit 8, but they're tying it to previous material as well as covering free response questions in every single video. And then after episode 13, starting next week, every video starting next week will be review videos from different things throughout the year, and they're going to heavily cover how to do free response questions throughout the year. Because of these videos, I'm not going to teach full lessons. Any Zoom lessons we do for the next few weeks will mainly be question and answer tutoring times about stuff that I have assigned. So you should start at episode 8 in here. That way they talk about free response questions from Unit 7 on differential equations, then and go on from there. That's the lessons you should be going over. And then during Zoom lessons that we do, I'll just be answering your questions from anything that I assign. Or going over specific problems from anything that I assign. No full-on lesson. You will also notice in the classwork section, that's where you see the humongous review sheet, which you should have already started. I'm going to go over a few things from that in a little bit. The AP limits review sheet, and then there's a new assignment as well. Anything in Google Classroom is all to prepare you for the AP exam, and things will start being graded starting next week. Okay. I want to right now look at the humongous review sheet. There are a few things on it that I want to go over.
Wow, it is humongous.
Well, it's just covering every single topic throughout the entire year. So it starts off with limits. Then I'll cover highlights from this throughout the derivative unit next week. But one important thing to remember with limits, actually with this entire packet, you should still have your notes throughout the entire year. You can just write it down. This way you'll have every major topic all in one place. And with that in mind, since this year's AP exam is online, is it a open notes exam? That should be an obvious question. Is this year's AP exam open notes? Someone answer.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So can you have this thing next to you while you take the AP exam? Can you have any of your notes next to you while you take the AP exam this year? Yes, you can. Any of the free response questions and then their scoring guides that I give you, you could have next to you during the AP exam, it is open notes, an open textbook, open internet. So one thing to remember with limits is that the limit as x approaches a on the left of the function would have to equal the limit as x approaches a on the right of the function. That has to happen, well, and they both need to equal some finite value for the actual limit to exist, for the actual limit to exist. And then if this is happening, then the limit as x approaches a of f of x equals z capital L. So therefore, if we look at the AP limit review that I also have for you, in this graph, the limit as x approaches 9 of the function, does the function have to exist for the limit to exist? No, it does not. F of 9 does not exist there, but the limit does exist, and that limit is what? Y'all can see my screen, right?
-1.
Yeah, it's -1. Oh. And again, to reiterate that they have to equal the same thing, if we look at the limit as x approaches 5 on number 2, limit as x approaches 5, well, the left side, limit as x approaches 5 on the left is +1. Limit as x approaches 5 on the right is +3. So then what would be our answer for just limit as x approaches 5? Since they don't equal the same thing.
Does not exist.
Yes, that would be does not exist. That would be does not exist on number 2. Okay. Back to this. Okay, now let's go to number 6, 7, and 8 on the humongous review sheet. Okay, 6S, what does it mean for a function to be continuous at a point? So I'm going to write the 3-step definition of continuity. First, definition of continuity at x equals a. Okay, for something to be continuous at x equals a, f of a would have to exist. Number 2, the limit as x approaches a of f of x would have to exist. And then number 3, they have to equal each other. Limit as x approaches a of f of x would have to equal f of a. Okay. A few things I am highlighting today and throughout any of the Zoom lessons that we will be doing, they're things that I have seen on past free response questions. So notice I didn't go over this entire page. It's still helpful to know this entire page. Any topic could still be on the AP exam, but continuity is very common. Horizontal and vertical asymptotes, very common. IVT, not very common, but you've probably forgotten it. So that's one reason why I'm going to go over it. Okay. Vertical and horizontal.
Do you think there's going to be piecewise functions?
Piecewise, definitely possible. And you'll see more of those as we do some free response questions. Okay. Vertical asymptotes. Well, vertical asymptotes are vertical lines, which will mean that they are x equals some number. They are x equals some number. So, and I want to fully relate vertical and horizontal asymptotes to limit notation. They would expect to see limit notation when talking about the reason for why something is a vertical or horizontal asymptote. So, if the limit as x approaches a of f of x equals positive or negative infinity, that would be a vertical asymptote there. Because if the limit is x approaches a of f of x equals positive or negative infinity, that can mean like it's going up to infinity like that, or going down to infinity right there as x approaches 0. Well, then that means we have a vertical asymptote at the y-axis at x equals 0, or whatever that x value is. So if this is happening, then x equals a is a vertical asymptote. For horizontal asymptotes, relating them to limit notation. Well, horizontal asymptote, well, that would be a horizontal line that the function gets closer and closer to but never approaches. Since it's a horizontal line, that is a y equals a number line. And horizontal asymptotes appear as the limit as x approaches infinity. So if the limit as x approaches infinity of f of x equals some a value, or limit as x approaches negative infinity of f of x equals some a value, then y equals a is a horizontal asymptote. And that could be like, if that is a, and it's going like that, well, then the limit as x approaches infinity of f of x is approaching a, so y equals a is the horizontal asymptote. They would expect to see limit notation in your reason why something's a vertical or horizontal asymptote. And then IVT, intermediate value theorem. We've definitely forgotten this. So, intermediate value theorem says that if f of x is continuous on an interval from a to b, and we have wait, no, I don't want to use a b. I already used b. And we have k between f of a and f of b, then there is at least one c between a and b for f of c equals k. And all that really means is that if you have a continuous function between a and b, where a and b, those are x values, so between x equals a and x equals b, and you have some k value, which is, it's a y value because it's between f of a and f of b, then there is, since it's continuous on that entire interval, then for at least one x value equaling c, f of c will equal k. At some point, it's going to cross through that y value, which is all that really means. At some point, it will cross through that y value. Okay. Two other things I want to discuss on the next page. Beginning of Unit 2. One reason why I want to discuss this, a few people have already started the Unit 1 free response questions, which is awesome. You should definitely do that. So the Unit 1 progress check free response questions. For all of the progress checks, don't feel like you need to do the multiple choice because the AP exam's not going to be multiple choice this year, but definitely do the free response questions. That would then give you examples of types of free response questions they could do, as well as almost all of the progress check free response questions on AP Classroom have been AP exam questions in previous years, or very similar to ones. So Unit 2, first 1 and 2. The average rate of change of a function on an interval is blah. There's not enough room to write it right there. I'm going to put f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Another name for that is the slope of the secant line. That's the average rate of change over an interval. And the closer a and b are to each other, the more closely the average rate of change is to the instantaneous rate of change. Or another way this could be thought of is f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Notice both of these look very similar to the formula for derivative, the formal definition and alternate, but these are both missing what in front? These are both missing limit notation in front.
Limit notation.
So without the limit notation, this is just the average rate of change. Without limit notation, it's just average rate of change. When you do limit notation as b approaches a, or some things will have an x here instead of b, or when you do limit notation as h approaches 0 here, then that turns these into the formula for the limit definition of a derivative, both the formal and alternate. That then gives you the instantaneous rate of change. In this act, approximate the slope of a tangent line on a graph. Well, I mean, if we had a graph like that, you can draw the tangent line at a point. And if you want to approximate the slope of the tangent line on a graph, you could just draw the tangent line, an approximation, and then approximate the slope of that based on like what grid points it goes through. This particular f of b minus f of a over b minus a, that is also called a difference quotient. But it's also called a difference quotient. So if you're asked to make a difference quotient to estimate the derivative, that is what you would do. You want to do a difference quotient to get the average rate of change. That is what you would do. It's just a certain term. They're just saying it if you know it. Okay. Do any of you have any questions over the humongous review sheet or the limit review that you want me to go over?
So you said that if we add limit notation, it becomes instantaneous?
So yeah, if on this one, the difference quotient of what average rate of change means, if we add in front of that the limit as, instead of b, I'm going to put x right now, the limit as x approaches a of f of x minus f of a over x minus a, well, that's then the definition of derivative at a point, at a. That would equal f prime of a. So just adding limit notation in front of average rate of change gets you instantaneous rate of change, because that's what derivative means. Or with the other one, f of x plus h minus f of x all over h, adding limit notation in front of that of limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h, well, that is in the instantaneous rate of change. Because then, since we took the limit as h approaches 0, that is then finding the slope at the very specific point with no x change. And that would equal just f prime of x. So instantaneous rate of change, the derivative, that is just taking the average rate of change and taking its limit as the difference in the x values approaches 0. As the difference in the x values approaches 0. That then gives you the derivative. Any other questions on what I've already gone over or any of the other ones in this at all?
I'm good.
Either the review sheet or the limits review.
I have a question about the free response questions.
The ones on AP Classroom?
Yes.
Mhm.
So whenever we're doing those, like, is that what's going to be our grade, is just those? Or like, do we have to like send you pictures of the review sheet and everything?
So I don't know yet fully what your grade for our class is going to be. Or I also don't know yet what fourth grading period will actually look like. So, I mean, the purpose of doing the free response questions in the Google Classroom, in AP Classroom, is to see what free response questions on the AP exam look like and practice doing those. And then once you submit the free response question on AP Classroom, that then I then score it and give it back to you, and that then you see how you're doing on those free response questions. Wait, so what are some of the, so Matt asked in here, am I taking grades on Khan Academy or AP Classroom or just Google Classroom? Now that we're just doing review, no longer any grades in Khan Academy. I mean, feel free to use Khan Academy for practice, to remind yourself how to do things if you want to watch those videos. Or, but now that we're just doing review, I'm no longer using the Khan Academy class. It's just AP Classroom and Google Classroom. And Everett asked, what is AP Classroom? Is at the very beginning of the year, like it was that code I gave you of how you had to make an account in AP Classroom before you could even say that you were taking the AP exam. Like if you just search AP Classroom, it'll take you there, and you've logged in before because you had to get to say that you're taking the AP exam to register to take it. If I need to post a link again on how to get to AP Classroom, I can do that. But pretty much any assignments I give, the free response questions on AP Classroom, those are highly suggested, not absolutely required. The stuff that is required is anything on Google Classroom. But the free response questions of the AP Classroom, that's more practice on what free response questions will look like for the AP exam. And so it's a great idea.
Is anything that's on AP Classroom or Google Classroom, like your assignments that you have, are those going to be grades starting the 13th, or are you going to start graded assignments the 13th?
Well, if you'll notice from my stuff that's already up on Google Classroom,
Yeah.
the due dates for those are like next Wednesday and next Friday. So I'm considering the 3 assignments currently on AP Classroom, the 3 assignments currently on Google Classroom, that's our assignments for next week. I'm not adding any new assignments for next week. Like, not fully sure how things will be, how I'm going to do grades yet, or how or how I'm supposed to do grades yet. But with grades starting next week, like you're not going to have anything new next week beyond what's currently on Google Classroom.
Okay, so the ones on AP Classroom, the FRQs, those are just practice for the AP test, but they're not going to be grades for you?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So anything on the free response question progress checks on AP Classroom, you definitely should do them if you're taking the AP exam. Those are not graded. Those will not be graded for our grade book, but I will grade them for you so that you know how you did to better prepare for the AP exam. Any other questions on the review, the AP review, or just generally what the next few weeks look like? If there's anything else you want me to post, I will post whatever you want me to post on the calendar or Google Classroom as resources for you. Just feel free to ask. You all know my email, or you can respond on the remind and whatever. Ira asked if I'm taking grades from Edgenuity.
I have scissors,
I've looked through Edgenuity, and the review stuff in Edgenuity is not great practice. I mean, it's good reminders of concepts. It's good reminders of concepts, but it's like TEKS test level difficulty, and
that's insufficient.
So no. I mean, technically, I'm kind of supposed to, but they haven't told any AP teachers what we should be doing other than preparing you for the AP exam. So I'm just going to prepare you for the AP exam, and you'll find out more specifically about grades later this week from district and our admin, then more specifically about my class next week. What do you mean by unit test? You want me to like post the test? You should have your tests.
I'm not sure if I have my tests. I will look for them, but like I would like it if it was all in one spot where I know where it is.
I'll post something that would be helpful, that would be like that. Emily asked if they are completion grades or real grades. Yes, my answer to that is yes. I say just yes and not saying either one, because I've kind of been given just a yes to that as well. So I will continue to update that as things go on.
Happy birthday, Emily.
Yeah, happy birthday. I would have to say we still don't know what fourth grading period looks like. So if things are real grades and fourth grading period ends up meaning something, then
Does anyone want to see a
your semester
dog?
grade in some way. If it ends up just being completion, then or fourth grading period ends up meaning almost nothing, then I'll let you know as I know. I'm just told I'm supposed to start giving grades next week, and I'll be told more specifics later this week, and you will as well.
You're not allowed to escape.
Any other questions? Okay, we're not going to meet any other time this week. starting next week, we will do one of these Zoom sessions every Wednesday and Friday. Wednesdays and Fridays. Do not feel like you have to join every single one. They will all be recorded and posted to the calendar on that day. And so you could go back and watch it if you want. But again, the purpose, as I said earlier, the purpose of all future Zoom meetings will just be to answer any questions that you have of stuff that I have assigned, as well as go over certain questions that I feel like I need to go over of stuff I've assigned, or go over free response questions, certain things that I've assigned on Google Classroom.
Mr. Hunter.
Yeah.
Are you going to be posting the keys of stuff like the humongous worksheet?
Yes, as not like anything that we do, I will post the keys at some point.
Okay.
Everything, the key will get posted.
And will that be posted on the Google Classroom or your calendar?
Probably initial blank assignments for you to do will be on Google Classroom, and keys will be found the same place they've been found all year long, at the calendar.
Gotcha.
Good question. Any other questions?
Peggy's a good girl. Do you like my sister's dog?
I don't, what?
Do you like my sister's dog? She's a corgi.
Nice dog, Theodore.
Thanks. She wants down.
Did you say the Zoom meeting is going to be Wednesday and Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
Just Wednesdays and Fridays.
Let's put that on the calendar.
And just like any Zoom meetings we've already been doing, just at 11 a.m. Wednesdays and Fridays. Any other questions? Okay then. Then I guess we will be done.
Bye.
Make sure you're watching the YouTube review videos. Those are very helpful, as well as any work that they show. Work on assignments on Google Classroom. And email me if you have any questions. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
You too, Peter.
Bye.